Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, topic A is no doubt still Ukraine. And I would like to just give you some observations and I hope provide some original commentary on everything that's going on. First and foremost, Putin totally underestimated that what he tried to accomplish, you can't get away with anymore like you could have maybe back in World War II. You know, the first war that came into our homes was the Vietnam War, with the news and the videos and the photographs and everything else coming in real time. Well, that exists today. So the idea and concept that you can invade a country and the news coverage, the international news, not cover that. And not only that, everybody has a video phone, photographs, so forth and so on, is that the images make a big deal. And he can't run from it, can't hide from it. And what happens is that controls what people see, and therefore it controls what people's judgment is. And it's just a really, really bad look. And it's also embarrassing. Why? Because he thought this would be easier than what it is. Another historical comment that I want to make to you is this. China. China didn't even call this an invasion. Refuses to say it's an invasion. Now, since the last few days, things haven't gone so well. What does China do? Well, China apparently has done a few things, but it's clear that China is in bed with them. Now, as things go south, you watch China, you just watch how they'll slowly try to act like, oh, it's not us. And remember what I said. The American Communist 10 needs to be vilified for their relationship with China based upon what Russia and Putin is doing in Ukraine. Have you heard disavowalment of this? No, you haven't. But I want to just comment, what's going on with China maybe having some, trying to back up a little bit or play the game a little bit. I'm going to tell you a story that you may not have known. True fact. Do you realize that Russia never declared war on Japan, our ally during the last few years of World War II? Never declared war on Japan until we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. Then Russia declared war on Japan. Oh, well, thanks a lot, Russia. Thanks a lot, Stalin. Thanks for helping us out to help us defeat Japan now. I mean, how shameless and embarrassing is that? So those are the type of things that happen in history. And it'll be interesting to see how this war rages on, what China actually does. Here is something. Now, you know what I said I would have done. I would have played this JFK-like. I would have put American and NATO tanks around that whole freaking border of Ukraine. Why? It's cheaper to avoid the war than it is to deal with the aftermath. Think about it. Now that the invasion's happened, we're adding military, humanitarian aid. Think of the costs of all of that after the fact. Should avoid war in the first place. That's the way you play the game. Now we're after the fact. Now everybody wants to defend Ukraine. Why don't we defend it in the first place? We didn't know. You didn't have the foresight and vision to know what this war would look like. Really? The failure of political leadership. Like Trump says, our political leaders are dumb. And then we have Biden asking for more foreign oil production. Folks, it is something that I want to point out that nobody's talking about on the energy front. How ridiculous is it that Joe Biden, leader of the progressives, who doesn't want to do any dependency here in the United States, Keystone Pipeline, so forth and so on, the permit process, ANWR, no, none of that. Because of climate change and, renewable energies and this. But we can demand and request other countries do fossil fuel production. Nobody's talking about the hypocrisy of that. I mean, it's ridiculous. We're supposed to be all together for global climate change. But America, we don't want our domestic oil production to go up. We want to ask other countries to increase their production, to sell it to us. Makes no sense. Elon Musk, Oracle status, Starlink, helping out the Ukrainians. The Ruble. I was watching television before I went to bed at 4 a.m. this morning. The Ruble was down 30%. And the Russian central bank raised interest rates to 20%. Wow. Then we have Google, Facebook, etc., blocking and doing things to the Russians and Putin's upset about it. And that's another irony that I thought of. We get treated, American citizens get treated every single day by these social media companies the same way Russia's getting treated. Here's something else. The protests. 6,000 people were arrested in St. Petersburg. The Ukrainians are part of the former Soviet Union. There's a kinship. This is like us going to war against Texas. I'm telling you, the Russian people have the power to fight back. By the way, do you realize you can be like 20 years for treason, for protesting, and those people are still protesting? And the other thing about these dictatorships, I always think to myself, Kim Jong-un, Putin, there's no hero in that inner sanctum that says enough's enough. Hitler, they tried to kill Hitler. I guess we don't know how many people try to kill Putin. And then we have Putin claiming nuclear defenses. People don't realize this. We now have a situation where you got a dictator who's embarrassed. He's embarrassed. We now got to figure out a way for him to get out, without him feeling too embarrassed. I don't know what the end game's going to be. It's why you should never have it begin in the first place. Stopping it in the beginning is so much better than trying to deal with it now. But Putin on the world stage is embarrassed. So God only knows what he's going to freaking do. We have these peace talks that might be going on. I think that's probably Ukrainians' way of trying to buy a little bit more time to get some equipment in. We have Putin threatening Finland and Sweden. Crazy. We have the Ukrainian people are fighting back in an incredible fashion. Remember what I said? You go back and watch my first Ukrainian video on Friday. Look at the things that I added and I said that are true. Remember what I said? This could be another Afghanistan. You can't conquer 40 million plus freaking people with 100,000 soldiers that don't want to be conquered. It could be another Afghanistan. And what else did I say? Kiev, Kiev, Kiev. Defend Kiev at all costs. Should have had the strongest military support around Kiev. Because if Kiev doesn't fall, you're still going as a country. Poland and Sweden refused to play Russia in World Cup. That is cool as hell. I thought about this comparison. What's gone on in our country with crime because of weakness is the same thing that's going on in Ukraine because of weakness. You see how weakness breeds these things? Criminals think they can get away with it, they do it. Tyrants think they can get away with it, they do it. I thought about this. I got this prediction. Russian soldiers. It's got to be a few. It's going to be interesting to see how many Russian soldiers get to Ukraine, right? They want the hell out of Russia. How many Russians soldiers will surrender to the Ukrainians because they're like, hey, I want away from this guy. So you're in Ukraine. What a great way for defections to happen all across the Russian military. They get sent to Ukraine. They don't want to kill fellow former Soviet Union citizens. They say, hey, I'm here now. I surrendered. I want to become part of your country. I guarantee you that's happening. Meanwhile, we got our countries worried about diversity. Do you see how silly and stupid all these woke policies are for our military? What really freaking matters? I want to call out a few things. The young man, Ukrainian Marine, who blew up himself to blow up a bridge to keep the tanks from moving across that bridge. Unbelievable. They're removing signs. How smart is that? Guerrilla warfare now. Removing signs so the Russians don't know where to go. You got ZelenskY and the mayor of Kiev, too, both fighting. You got members of parliament from Ukraine fighting. You have Biden giving the intel on the invasion to China. What? You have mobile crematoriums. I've never heard of this before. Mobile crematoriums so you can cremate the soldiers. The soldiers never get sent back home. You don't know what happened to them. Then we have this vodka protest. Yeah, I get it, symbolic. Let's not drink Russian vodka in the United States. But you know what? I don't think that's going to make any difference. But I understand the symbolism of it. Putin apparently has been thrown out of his Judo federation. That probably really made him. Now there's talks that Putin might be mentally unfit. No, he's not unfit. He's just freaking angry as hell right now. Meanwhile, Joe Biden's going to Delaware. You can't make it up. And then last but not least, 62%. It's really more than that, obviously. 62% Americans say this would have never happened under Trump. Of course it wouldn't happen under Trump. It's sad. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. May the Ukrainians keep fighting.